What's up, guys? It's your boy Matty Vegas, and I'm getting ready for my second time of pulling my transmission out of my 2004 Ford F-150 pickup truck. It is a 4R70W transmission, and so I'm going to show you guys kind of step by step and the exact tools and the process you're going to need to pull it, make it easy as possible. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. There's a few that are really good. There's some that leave out some of the stuff, so I'm going to try to put in as much stuff for you guys as possible to make this the easiest thing. And this is going to be one of my many car videos because I love working on cars, but I want to show you guys kind of step by step instead of leaving out all kinds of stuff and leaving it confusing for especially somebody that doesn't know how to work on cars. This should be pretty easy. All right. So first I'm going to show you a really quick layout of the tools. We got our creeper to the left here. We got a big hammer. You need a metal one to break some of this stuff loose. We got a large torque wrench for either torquing down the bolts or breaking them loose. We got a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. We got a 3/8 and we got a 1/4. We actually have two 3/8. We got our extensions. We have our wrenches. 18 millimeter going all the way down to about 13 or 12. We have a couple large flathead screwdrivers. We got a bunch of deep sockets, 12 point, mostly 18 through 12. A razor blade knife is going to be needed to cut some of the things. And lastly, we have our jack stands. We're going to need probably 4 of those. We got our shop light. We got at least 3 or 4 bottles of water because we're going to be needed to be hydrated. And we got our coffee. And then we got our little music. And we got a shit ton of other tools. And just in case we need it, we got the shop manual also. And that will take care of what you need for the tools for the transmission job. The first thing that we're going to want to do is take this 10 millimeter wrench and disconnect the positive and the negative cable on the battery. We want to get any bastard. We want to get any of the power. This thing's not even a 10 millimeter on the other side. Mismatch. Great. To give you a quick shot of this, when you're lifting the vehicle, just make sure that you lift it on the frame, something that won't bend, not on this part, because this part obviously is going to bend. It's really important, and it's for safety reasons also. I'll come back to you after I'm done jacking the car up. Alright guys, so we're back, and the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to put a 12 millimeter 12 point wrench on these 4 bolts to take off the drive shaft. Now these things are usually rusted on here pretty good, so you can use some cleaner and stuff to some like rust remover and stuff like that. But what you can do to give yourself a little bit more leeway, you can either put a pipe on here, or you can take this little wrench here and hook it like this, and this is gonna give you it's a little too small, but it'll give you a little bit more leverage to break loose these bolts. And you push up on this bad boy. You can hook a wrench, see, on the end here, and it'll give you some extra leverage, so when you push up, you can just break it loose. Now mine are going to come loose a little bit better than yours, because this is the second time that I've done this in the last like 4 or 5 days. You can see the bolts. So there's 4 of those. I'm going to undo them and I'll get back with you. Hey guys, now that we got the drive shaft off with the 4 bolts, next thing we got is these 3 18 millimeter nuts. on each side, and you got 2 underneath here securing the brace. And we're gonna use a 18 millimeter 1/2 inch drive with socket for those, so they're not in there very hard. Like I said, I just took this off a couple days ago, so these things are pretty loose, but they're probably not going to be as loose for you. I will be back after I loosen these, because this is a boring process. All right. Hey guys, one thing I forgot to show you is there's 2 bolts hiding right on top. See where my wrench is? That are holding the heat shield to the cross member, and they're 2 13 millimeter bolts. They're right there, if I can see with the flashlight. So got to get those out before the cross member drops. Alright guys, so now we take a straight slot screwdriver here and pop out these braces that are holding this deal in here. Once you pop them out on both sides, ooh, shit. Once they come out, that brace will drop on to the next one. Guys, so now the last thing we have here is these 2 13 millimeter bolts that are on this cross member right here. Loosen those. Make sure you have a jack supporting the weight of the transmission. Alright guys, we're back, and the next thing you're going to want to do is see this oxygen sensor. We're going to squeeze it just like that and pull it off. Same thing with this connector back here. We're going to just squeeze the top and wiggle it, and it comes right off. And then we got another oxygen sensor on this side right here. We're going to squeeze this little tab, and I'm going to have to put my you know what, I might be able to get it. Sometimes if it's a little difficult, you can put a screwdriver in the tab. This is really hard to do with it. There we go. Alright, the next thing we have is our shifter linkage. Just put a screwdriver right here and just gently pry, and it'll pop right. Hold on. It'll pop right off. The next thing that we got, guys, you got this connector, and you're just gonna push with like a screwdriver or something, and you're just gonna pull it right off. Now we got those connections off. We got one more tab up here with our, hold on. See, there's our output speed sensor, and we're gonna push the little tab and wiggle it a little bit until it comes off. And now all our connectors are disconnected. Alright guys, the next thing that we got is this linkage right here, and it's a 13 millimeter bolt on the bottom and a 14 on the top, or at least they fit. Alright guys, next thing we want to do is get these get this nut and bolt off the bottom of the starter. It's a 13. You got to take the nut off, and then pull the wire off, and then take the other nut. Also, we got a bell housing bolt right here, and another one on the other side that we're gonna have to take off. And those are the easiest ones to get to. And then let me shine my light up here, see if you can see this. We have a bolt, the next bolt right there, and then you see that other bolt. Ooh, we got that one right there to take off. And then we got one more up at the top, which is even harder to get to. Now there's one more past that, and it's a pain in the ass to get to, but I got it last time, so we'll get it again. And I'll be back after this is done. Guys, I'm back. Now we finally got all the bolts, the top, the side, the starter, everything. And what I also had to do, what I didn't show you, is I had to pull the two nuts on each side and drop the exhaust. That really helps. It gives you a lot of room, and it's a 16 millimeter. I do the 1/2-inch drive to give you a little bit of power, but that's pretty much it for that. And now our last step is, let me show you a little bit better with the camera. See, I already took one of the nuts off the converter, the torque converter, and what you have to do is you have to come in through the front right here with a long extension and a 13/16 and turn it and line it up with each of these nuts, and then it's a 14 millimeter, or I use a 14 millimeter, and the wrench to break it loose, and there's 4 of them. And once you do that, you got your shit on the tranny jack. The only thing that you got to be a little bit careful of is, see that main seal on the end? You got to wiggle it around that main seal. I cut 2 of them already, and since I don't have my buddy here to help me, I'll be dropping this tranny myself. Alright guys, so we got the torque converter bolts out, and we got the bell housing bolts out. So now we're going to take off the transmission fluid lines, and you're going to need a 18 millimeter, which you're going to have to stick up there on the big part, and then you're going to need a 16 to break it loose. It's really, really tight, but I'm sure it would have been less tight if. So I got 2 more bolts to go, and that is a wrap. I'll show you guys a little bit as I'm lowering it back down, but it's kind of hard with the camera. But you get the idea. That's the full. I say it's a pretty good description on how to drop the transmission, and I'll try to edit this and make it as clean as possible. But that's pretty much all it is, and then she'll come right out. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.